now we'll talk about the basic conditions, right? So firstly we'll talk about the basic condition and then we'll move to the additional conditions. So basic conditions. So let's suppose I am I have been residing in foreign countries for a while, but in the last year, in the previous year, let's suppose in the last year, in the previous year, 2021 to 2022, I was in India for 182 days or more. This is the first basic condition, right? So if I was in India for 182 days or more in the last previous year out of 365 days, I would be considered as resident, right? Because I am meeting one of the basic conditions. So I will be considered as resident of the India. So if I was in the previous year for period of more than 182 days, now there are few questions. Let's suppose I am arriving in India, so the day I'm arriving, that will also be considered, and the day that I am, departing from India, that day will also be considered in the calculation of 182 days, because there is some confusion about the calculation of days. When I'm arriving, even then I will be considered, that day will be calculated. When I'm departing, even then that day will be calculated. So I, if I have been in India in the previous year for more than 182 days, I will be considered as resident, because that's the basic condition, the first basic condition, and I meet the basic condition. There is another basic condition. Let's suppose I was not in India for 182 days or more. I was there for 70 days. Now, what will happen if in the previous year I was in India for more than 60 days, right? And in the last 4 years preceding 2020, preceding 21 22, right? So that would be 2020 to 21, 2019 to 20, 2018 to 2019, and 2017 to 2018. In the last 4 years, if I was in India accumulating for 365 days, accumulating for 365 days or more, then I would be considered as the resident of India. So this is the another basic condition. If I'm meeting the first basic condition, then I will be considered as resident of India. But let's suppose I was not there in India for, you know 182 days or more in the previous year, but I was there in India for 70 days. Now what will happen, the tax, Indian tax will see that whether I was there before in India, from the previous year as well. So they will calculate for, and they will look for at least 365 days in the preceding 4 years before the previous year. So if in our case the previous year is 2021 to 2022, and the previous 4 years will be 2020 to 21, 2019 to 20, 2018 to 2019, and 2017 to 2018. So in the in the 4 years preceding previous year, if I was in India for more than 365 days, and in the last previous year I was in India for more than 60 days, I will be considered as, you know the resident of India. So these are the two basic conditions. If I'm meeting any of the basic condition, I will be considered as resident of India. So I have already said that, it doesn't have to be in a continuous manner. You don't have to be in India for, let's suppose if I'm saying I'm in India for 182 days or more, it doesn't have to be in a continuous manner. Like I was in India for a month and then left for UK, then came back, then reside in India for three months and then left. So the totality matters, the continuity doesn't, right? So that's the other thing that, because there is confusion among the students, that continuity doesn't matter, the totality matters, right? So if in total I was there for more than 182 days or more, I will be considered as Indian resident. So these are the two basic conditions. If I'm satisfying or meeting any of them, right, if I'm satisfying or meeting any of the conditions, I will be considered as resident of India. But there are exceptions to everything in life, and to such condition as well. So the first exception, the exception is only valid for this second point, for the period of 60 days. The exception is only valid for this one, right? So exception, firstly we'll talk about an Indian citizen who leave India during the previous year for the purpose of employment outside India. So if someone has left India for looking out for jobs in foreign countries. So instead of 60 days, we'll check for 182 days conditions only. We won't go out for this 60 days and 365 days in the preceding 4 years from previous year. So we'll just see whether they were meeting this condition. If they were in India for 182 days or more in the previous year, only then they will be charged as citizen, or they will be charged as resident of India. So an Indian citizen who leaves India during the previous year for the purpose of employment outside India. So if you're leaving India for a for job purpose, and employment here means going for job, going for business, or a professional leaving India. Let's suppose I'm a teacher, I'm a professional. If I'm leaving India and going in UK or US, residing there, so this 60 days condition won't be applicable. Only 182 days or more condition will be applicable to me. So if I'm meeting this condition, only then I will be considered as citizen of, considered as a resident of India, or as a member of crew of Indian ship. So if I am member of crew of Indian ship, I am basically going through many places, many countries in the world, through sea. So through sea water. So I'm traveling more you know most time of the year. So what happens basically? So let's suppose if this condition was applicable, if you come back for at your place, at your home country, let's suppose India, and only for 2 months, only for 2 months you are coming back to your place or your country, even then they will consider you as, uh, and if you are meeting this criteria as well, you will consider as resident of India. So they have made an exception for member of crew of Indian ship, because they are moving throughout the globe for the most part of year, and if they are coming back to the country, this condition should be applicable. So if they are staying for 182 days or more, only then they will consider as resident of India. This condition won't be applicable, because that would be too harsh on them. Lastly, an Indian citizen or a person of Indian origin who comes on a visit to India during the previous year, because many, like, the person of Indian origin concept is basically, let's suppose someone of my age is residing in UK or US. They have lived their lives in UK or US, complete life, but their ancestors used to live in India, right? So we'll call them as Indian origin, because their ancestor, their grandparents used to live in India. So what they will be considered as person of Indian origin. So let's suppose they are coming to meet their extended families in India back. So this condition will be too harsh on them as well. So we will, consider them as resident of India only when they are meeting this first condition. If they are staying in India for 182 days or more. So these are the few exceptions. I hope I am very much clear with what basic condition is. And if you're liking the content that we are making, please leave a like, and do share this video with your friends, because this will be very helpful and knowledgeable. So that will be a great help. Now, this has been, depicted through the diagram as well. So, if an individual is in India for greater than 182 days in the relevant financial year, the previous year, they will be considered as resident. Else, if they have been in India for 60 days, more than 60 days in the relevant year, and 365 days in the preceding 4 financial years, as I told you with an example, if 2021 to 2022 is the previous year, then preceding the previous year, the last 4 years preceding previous year, we have to calculate that they were in India for 365 days or more. Make sure we are not talking about continuity, we are talking about the totality. So if you are meeting this condition, you will be considered as resident. So you have to make sure that you meet either of the condition. It's not that you have to meet the both condition. In basic condition, you have to make sure that you meet either of the one condition. And if you don't meet any of these conditions, you will be considered as non-resident of India. So this is, like, simply put, these are the basic conditions. Now we'll move on to the additional conditions. This comes under the section 6, subsection 6. So additional condition, there are two additional conditions, and the difference between basic condition and additional condition is, why do we talk about additional conditions? To know whether us resident is ordinarily resident or not ordinarily resident. So in this case, you have to meet both the conditions. Only then you will be considered as ordinarily resident. So if we are talking about the additional condition, the first additional condition is that he has been residing in India for at least 2 out of the 10 previous year immediately preceding the relevant previous year. So we are talking about the previous year. In our example, previous year is 2021 to 2022, and if we have to make sure that he is meeting the additional condition or not, we have to check that immediately preceding the previous year, we have to go through the 10 years, and we have to check whether he was in India as a resident for at least 2 years out of the 10 years we are going through. So firstly, let's suppose we are taking the example of 21 or 20, the 20 previous year 21 to 2022. Now in this, what will happen? We have to make sure like the preceding 10 years of 2021 and 2022, that SSC has been a resident of India for at least 2 years out of the 10. So let's suppose if he has been the resident of India for at least 2 out of 10 previous years immediately preceding the relevant previous year, he will meet the first additional condition. So he has to be the resident for at least 2 out of the 10 previous year. And how he can become the resident? We have followed the basic condition. He has to meet any of the basic conditions. So he will be considered as resident in that previous year, right? So if he meets the condition, the basic condition for at least twice, at least twice in the last 10 years, he will be able to meet the first additional condition. So that's there. The other second additional condition is he has been in India for a period of 730 days or more during 7 years immediately preceding the relevant previous year. So our relevant previous year is 2021 to 2022, and 7 years preceding that. So we have to check whether this SSE was, you know, residing in India for 730 days or more. We have to calculate, and as I said, the focus will be on totality, not on continuity. If that person was in India for 730 days or more in last 7 years, he or she will be able to meet the both additional condition if he or she is satisfying the first condition and then the second condition. So they will be considered as resident and ordinarily resident if they are not able to meet any of the additional conditions. Let's suppose they were able to meet the first condition but they are not able to meet the second condition. So what will happen? They will be considered as resident. They are resident but they are not ordinarily resident. So they have to meet both the additional condition. Only then they will be considered as resident and ordinarily resident. So these are the two additional conditions. For our example, previous year is 2021 to 2022. We have to check the preceding 10 years immediately preceding 2021 to 2022, and we have to see whether the SSC was resident of India for at least 2 years, and for being the resident, he has to meet the basic condition at least twice in the last 10 years. And afterwards, we have to satisfy the second condition as well. So these are the additional conditions from which you can know whether an SSC is resident and ordinarily resident as well. So there is, basically this one. So, if you are satisfying the condition, if you are satisfying the basic condition, if you are satisfying both the additional conditions, then you will be considered as resident and ordinarily resident, right? But if you are satisfying the basic condition, you will be considered the resident. If you are not satisfying any, like the basic conditions, not nor the additional conditions, you will be considered as non-resident. So resident and ordinarily resident satisfy both basic conditions and your additional conditions as well. But resident but not ordinarily resident satisfy your basic condition but does not satisfy your additional conditions. Non-resident, on the other hand, does not satisfy any the basic condition or the additional condition. So that is how we categorize the residential status in India as per the Income Tax Act. So that will be all in today's class, because it is very important to know about the individual. There are different set of rules for Hindu undivided family, the corporate sectors, and for the company there are different set of rules. But most importantly, for your examination purpose, you need to know about the residential status of an individual. And you can easily get a question on this because it is a very interesting topic. If you are not very well versed with this on logically, you will be won't be able to answer the MCQ question because they won't be asking you straight away or direct question. They will be asking you some tricky questions. But I think I have made myself pretty much clear, and I will request you, if you are uh, still finding it difficult to get through it, I would ask you to watch it again and revisit to the video again, and that will help you because I think it has been explained in very simplistic terms, so it will be very helpful for you guys. And there are charts and diagrams that will help you to know about the cracks that all we have studied. So you can pause your video, you can go through them again. So this was all about the residency, residential status and citizenship. And if you are liking the video that we are making, do leave a like and do subscribe to the channel as well. So that will be all from my end, and I will be coming up with more videos in the on this topic. So do hit the sub channel as well. Do hit the subscribe button. So whenever I come up with another video on income tax and corporate tax planning, you get notified by it. So that will be all from my end, and I hope you are preparing well for your UGC NET examination. I'll meet you in the next video.